Let me tell you about a sound I want every single cat parent to learn to notice. It is the sound of your cat going in and out of the litter box, again and again, crouching down low, staying in there far too long, straining, and leaving almost nothing behind, or maybe it is not a sound at all, but a silence you have started to notice. The bowl of water you filled this morning is still sitting there tonight, right up to the line, because your cat barely touched a drop of it. You tell yourself it is nothing. Cats are just mysterious creatures, you think. But somewhere deep down, a quiet worry has already started because you have heard the stories. The friend whose cat seemed perfectly fine right up until the day it wasn't. The shocking bill at the emergency clinic. The words kidney failure said out loud in a cold exam room. Maybe you have already tried a few things. You bought the more expensive food. You put down a second water bowl that your cat walks right past. And still, that bowl stays full, and that litter box keeps telling you something is not quite right. But what if I told you that the single most powerful thing you can do to protect your cat's kidneys and their entire urinary system for the rest of their life is not a pill and not an expensive prescription? It is one simple thing you can add to their bowl tonight, sitting in your kitchen right now, that costs you almost nothing. Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Sarah Lane, your neighborhood veterinarian, and welcome back to the channel. Kidney and urinary trouble is, without any exaggeration, one of the most common and most heartbreaking things I treat in cats. And here is the number that stops my clients cold every time I say it out loud. By the time a cat reaches 10 years old, roughly 1 in 3 of them will develop chronic kidney disease. And by the age of 15, the majority of cats are living with some degree of kidney decline. It is the leading medical reason our senior cats leave us far too soon. Now, before that number frightens you, I need you to take a slow breath and drop the guilt right at the door, because I hear the same confession from almost every owner who sits down across from me. Dr. Lane, I feel terrible. I had no idea he wasn't drinking enough. How did I miss this? You did not miss anything that any loving person wouldn't have missed, because cats are built to hide it. The fact that you are here right now, learning how to get ahead of this before it starts, tells me your cat has exactly the kind of parent they deserve. But I cannot sugarcoat the stakes either, because they are real. The kidneys are quiet. A cat can lose up to 2/3 of their kidney function before you ever see a single obvious symptom, which means the time to protect them is not after the diagnosis. It is right now, while they still look and act perfectly healthy. So grab a pen and a notebook, because I am going to walk you through exactly why cats are wired to damage their own kidneys, the simple everyday changes that turn it all around, and the one thing I most want you to start adding to their bowl tonight. Let's start with the single most important idea in this whole video, because once you truly understand it, everything else falls into place. Your cat is, by their very design, a desert animal. Their wild ancestors were small hunters who almost never drank standing water. Instead, they got nearly all of their moisture from the fresh prey they caught and ate, which is around 70% water. So over thousands of years, cats evolved a very weak, very lazy sense of thirst. Here is where that becomes a problem in our homes. When we take that same desert-built body and feed it dry kibble, which is only about 10% water, the cat does not feel thirsty enough to drink and make up the enormous difference at the bowl. And so they live, day after day, month after month, in a state of quiet, low-grade dehydration. A chronically dehydrated body produces small amounts of very concentrated, super strong urine. And that concentrated urine is hard on the delicate filters inside the kidneys, and it is the perfect environment for painful mineral crystals to form in the bladder. So the very first and most powerful change you can make costs you nothing new to learn. If your cat eats only dry food, begin shifting them toward wet, canned food. A good canned food is around 78% water, almost exactly the same as the fresh prey their body was designed to run on. Every single meal quietly becomes a big drink of water they don't even realize they are taking. Do it gradually, mixing a little more wet food in over a week or two so their stomach adjusts, and you will have done more for their kidneys than any supplement on the shelf. Now, step 2 is about the water bowl itself, and I promise you are going to change something in your house tonight. Cats are strangely, wonderfully picky about how they drink, and most of us set their water up in exactly the way that makes them avoid it. First, running water. In the wild, still water can be stagnant and unsafe. So many cats have a deep instinct to prefer water that moves. This is exactly why your cat would rather drink from a dripping faucet than the perfectly good bowl you filled for them. A simple pet water fountain, with its gentle circulating stream, taps straight into that instinct and can dramatically increase how much a fussy cat will drink. Second, location. Cats do not like to drink right next to their food, and they truly hate drinking anywhere near their litter box. It goes against a deep, hardwired instinct to keep their water source clean and separate from waste. So take that water bowl out from beside the food dish and set up 2 or 3 separate water stations around the house, in quiet, open spots, away from the food and the litter. Third, the shape of the bowl. Many cats suffer from something called whisker fatigue, where a deep, narrow bowl bumps their sensitive whiskers with every sip and slowly makes drinking unpleasant. Switch to a wide, shallow bowl, ideally ceramic or stainless steel rather than plastic, and fill it right to the top so they do not have to dip their whole face down inside. And refresh it every single day, because cats can smell the difference in stale water, even when we cannot. None of this costs much at all, and for a great many cats, it is the entire difference between a bowl that sits full and a cat who finally, happily drinks. Step 3 is my favorite category of tricks, because this is where you get a little sneaky and add water your cat will happily accept without a fight. The easiest one? Start adding extra water right into their food. If you feed wet food, stir in a few tablespoons of warm water to loosen it into a kind of soup or gravy. Most cats absolutely love the warmed, stronger smell, and they will lap up every last drop. If you feed kibble, you can moisten it with warm water and let it soften for a few minutes before serving. Next, make the water itself taste like something worth drinking. A small splash of the liquid from a can of plain tuna or plain cooked chicken, stirred into their water bowl, turns boring water into an irresistible treat. Just make sure it is the kind packed in water, never in oil or heavy brine, and that it has no added salt. You can even freeze that flavored water into little ice cubes and drop one into their bowl or their food dish. The novelty of a floating, melting cube gets a lot of cats drinking and playing at the same time. Every single one of these is a way to sneak moisture right past that weak desert cat thirst. And every extra bit of water means more dilute urine and a lighter load on those hard-working kidneys. Before I give you the big one, there is one more piece I need you to understand, because it works quietly in the background of everything else. Not all of the strain on your cat's kidneys comes from too little water. Some of it comes from what is dissolved in that water when it finally leaves the body. 2 things in particular matter here: salt and phosphorus. A lot of cheap, low-quality cat foods and salty human treats push far more sodium and phosphorus through your cat's system than those tiny filters were ever built to handle. And over the years, that extra mineral load wears the kidneys down and feeds the very crystals we are trying so hard to prevent. So take an honest look at what is actually going into the bowl. Choose a good quality cat food with a named meat as the very first ingredient, and go easy on the salty scraps, the bit of deli ham, the lick of the chip bag, the salted leftovers. You do not need to become a pet nutrition scientist overnight to get this right. Just understand that a cleaner, less salty diet means the kidneys have less junk to filter every single day, and that quiet reduction in their workload adds up to real extra years of life. Keep that one idea in your back pocket, because it is exactly why my big reveal comes with one careful instruction attached. And before I give you that reveal, let me quickly tell you which cats need this the very most, so you understand how urgent it may be for yours. At the top of the list are senior cats, 7 years and older. Every one of them belongs on a moisture-first plan starting today. Then male cats, because their long, narrow urinary tract makes a dangerous blockage far more likely than in females. Certain breeds run a higher risk too, including Persians, Maine Coons, and Siamese. And any cat who eats only dry food, any overweight cat, and any cat who has ever had even one urinary crystal or bladder infection in the past. For all of these cats, the water plan I am giving you today is not optional. It is protection they genuinely need for life. If your cat is anywhere on that list, please do not wait for a symptom to appear. Now, I have to pause everything and give you the most important vet warning in this entire video, because this one can save your cat's life. If you ever see your cat, and this is especially urgent in male cats, going to the litter box over and over, crouching and straining, crying out, or licking hard at their rear end, and producing little or no urine at all, Do not wait and watch, and do not try any home remedy. That is the sign of a possible urinary blockage, where crystals or a plug have physically sealed off their ability to pass urine. It is one of the true ticking clock emergencies in all of cat medicine. A fully blocked cat can go from uncomfortable to fatal in as little as a day or two because the waste their body cannot flush backs up, poisons the blood, and stops the heart. So if you see a straining cat producing nothing, that is not a wait until morning problem. That is a get in the car right now, call the emergency clinic problem. Please burn that sign into your memory. Everything else I am teaching you today is gentle, long-term prevention. This one is a red alert. All right. Take a deep breath with me because now I am going to give you the one thing I promised you at the very beginning. If you clicked on this video because the thumbnail told you to add this to your cat's bowl to protect their kidneys, this right here is exactly what I was talking about. It is bone broth. Now, I need you to understand why this humble thing sits in a class of its own for kidney and urinary health, because the reason is beautiful in its simplicity. The whole battle we have been fighting this entire video is getting water into a desert animal who does not want to drink it. Plain water is boring to a cat, but bone broth is water wrapped in the rich, savory, meaty smell of prey, and that smell overrides their weak thirst drive completely. A cat who walks past a full water bowl all day long will come running across the house for a warm bowl of broth and lap it dry. And think about what you have just done. You have poured a big serving of pure moisture into a little body that was quietly starving for it. That water rushes through the system, dilutes the dangerous concentrated urine, helps flush the fine, gritty crystals out of the bladder before they can ever gather into a stone, and lightens the filtering load on the kidneys so they finally get to rest. And on top of all that water, a good broth carries gentle collagen and an amino acid called glycine that softly support the body's own everyday repair. Here is exactly how to use it. Offer a few spoonfuls of warm bone broth as a drink on its own, or pour a spoonful right over every meal like a savory gravy. But listen very closely to this next part, because it matters more than almost anything else I will say today. You cannot use the bone broth cartons from the human grocery aisle. Nearly all of them are loaded with onion and garlic, which are genuine poisons to a cat's red blood cells, and heavy salt, which is the very last thing that vulnerable kidneys need. You want a plain, unsalted, onion and garlic-free bone broth made specifically for pets, or a simple homemade one. Just meat and bones simmered slowly in water, with the fat skimmed off the top, and absolutely nothing else added. And one honest caution, broth does naturally carry some minerals like phosphorus, so it is a wonderful daily hydration booster for a generally healthy cat. But if your cat already has diagnosed crystals or later stage kidney disease, ask your vet about a low phosphorus approach. Because for those particular cats, the mineral balance has to be managed with real care. Now let me stack a couple of quick supporting tips on top of that, because the very best protection always comes from a few small things working together. First, marine omega-3s. A few drops of a good fish or salmon oil made for pets deliver the two fatty acids called EPA and DHA. And beyond keeping the coat glossy, these gently calm inflammation inside the kidney's tiny filters. It is one of the few supplements with a genuine, respected reputation among veterinarians for supporting struggling feline kidneys. Start small and keep it refrigerated. Second, protect them from stress. A stressed, anxious cat is far more prone to bladder inflammation and painful urinary flare-ups. So keep their litter boxes clean and plentiful, give them quiet high perches to retreat to, and try to keep their daily routine calm and steady. A relaxed cat with a clean and tempting water station and a lighter mineral load is a cat whose entire urinary system is set up to thrive. Here is a habit I want every cat parent to build, and it costs you nothing at all. Read the litter box like a daily dashboard of your cat's health. Those clumps in the litter are one of the clearest windows you have into the kidneys and bladder, and most people never look, so start noticing. Are the urine clumps a normal, familiar size, or have they suddenly become tiny or strangely huge? Is your cat visiting the box far more often than they used to, or barely at all? Do you spot any pink or red tint, any straining, any crying in the box? A cat whose clumps keep getting bigger and who is suddenly drinking a great deal more water than before can be showing you an early sign that the kidneys are struggling to hold on to water and are flushing too much of it out. And catching that early on a routine vet visit with simple blood work is the single biggest thing that changes how the whole story ends. You know your cat's normal better than anyone alive. The moment that box tells you something has truly changed, you will know it is time to act. So let me pull all of this together into a formula so simple that you will actually keep it up, because I never want you to feel like you have to do everything at once. If you dump 6 brand new things into your cat tonight, all you will get is a stressed cat and a full trash can. Instead, here is my daily kidney and bladder bowl formula, and it takes about 10 seconds. Number 1, moisture first. Feed wet food or stir warm water into whatever they already eat at every meal. Number 2, the reveal. Add a spoonful of plain, pet-safe bone broth over their food or offer it warm as a drink on its own. Number 3, the water station. Keep a fountain or a fresh wide bowl of clean water in a quiet spot. Refresh daily, well away from the food and the litter box. And a few times a week, add a few drops of fish oil on top. That is the whole thing: moisture, broth, and a good water station. 10 seconds a day, done consistently, and you are quietly protecting your cat's kidneys for years to come. Now, as a veterinarian who deeply respects your trust, I owe you the honest truth about the limits of everything I have taught you today. These changes are wonderful, powerful prevention, and they genuinely help a cat in the early stages hold steady and comfortable for a very long time. But they are not a replacement for real medical care. If your cat is already drinking and urinating in enormous amounts, losing weight off their spine and hips, vomiting, hiding away, refusing food, or has developed a strong ammonia-like smell on their breath, please do not try to manage that at home with broth and a fountain alone. That is a cat whose kidney disease is already advanced, and they need your veterinarian, real blood work, fluids given under the skin, and often a prescription kidney diet that is carefully balanced in phosphorus. There is absolutely no shame in that, none at all. Get the medical care first, and then use everything I taught you today to support them and give them the most comfortable, loving life you possibly can. Protecting your cat from a threat they cannot see or understand is one of the quietest, most loving things you will ever do for them. Your cat will never know about the water you snuck into their dinner, or the broth you simmered so carefully without the onion, or the little fountain you set up in the corner just for them. They will simply get to keep being your healthy, purring companion for years longer than they otherwise might have. And that is the whole point of all of this. So let me help you go one step further. I have put together a free companion guide with a simple day-by-day hydration plan, a printable checklist of the urinary warning signs to watch for, my safe homemade bone broth recipe, and the litter box changes that protect the kidneys. The link is in the description and pinned to the top comment. It costs you nothing, and it is yours. While you are down there, leave me a comment and tell me, does your cat prefer the faucet, the fountain, or the bowl? I read every single one. And if this helped you protect your cat tonight, please subscribe, because I make these videos for cat parents who refuse to leave their animal's health to chance. Give your beautiful cat a gentle chin scratch from Dr. Sarah Lane tonight. Take good care of them, always trust your instincts, and I will see you in the very next video.